Welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Bill McCaffrey. My special guest is the man that wrote that great book, the Redskins Encyclopedia, and he's got a new one to talk about, Mike Richman. And of course, you've been busy staying out there at probably the Redskins camp the last few days, right?
I have been at training camp, yes. It's been quite an experience, particularly early on with the Albert Haynesworth saga. It was unclear when that would end, but I think Mike Shanahan did the right thing. I really like the stand that he took. He said nobody is above the law. Everybody is, all the players are equal. And when Haynesworth passes that conditioning test, then he's going to practice. And so I really like what Shanahan did. It was refreshing. The past 2 years, the players just ran over Jim Zorn, and previously they did a lot of the same to Joe Gibbs.
Well, I guess it was sort of like that ad, you know, where do you want to go, to namby-pamby land? And I think with him standing up like that, it did. It showed something to the rest of the team, because they were thinking, well, maybe it's just the same old malarkey and nothing's going to happen. But I think he'll turn out to be a productive person for the Redskins, too, this time.
I think he was a very good hire. I think he's the person that the Redskins really needed to be kind of a disciplinarian and get things in order. It's just that players in recent years have, if they've had complaints, they've gone behind the back of the coach and they've gone directly to Dan Snyder. It's like they've had his cell phone number on speed dial. But that's not going to happen anymore with Shanahan there, and he's in charge. And he is the guy that the Redskins really needed.
Is it really true that sometimes when they tried to reach owner Danny, that they would come up with him at Six Flags riding a roller coaster?
Well, that may be a bit of an exaggeration, but it's a good one. I mean, it's a nice story. I don't know if that's true, if they ever reached him on a roller coaster there.
Well, anyway, let's get back to, I think we'll talk about your books first, because the Redskin Encyclopedia, everybody I talked to loved it. And now you've come out with a new one, but you can still get the old one, too.
Right. Both books are available on my website, redskinshistorian.com. They're both coffee table books. They both have a lot of text in them. The Redskins Encyclopedia is what it says in the title, though. It's an encyclopedia. It's 250,000 words of text and the rest photos. My new book, The Washington Redskins Football Vault, is about 25,000 words worth of text and the rest photos. And the difference, here's the difference, there's a lot of memorabilia in the book. Game program covers going all the way back to the Redskins days in Boston, ticket stubs, press passes. You have a press pass from the Redskins' 1942 NFL Championship game against the Chicago Bears. There's a ticket stub from Redskins' 1966 game against the Dallas Cowboys at then DC Stadium, now RFK. There's a game program cover from the 1972 NFC Championship game, the Redskins 49ers game in Osaka, Japan in 2002. There's a game program cover. So there's a lot of memorabilia in there, a lot of artifacts. In terms of the text, I mixed it up a little bit compared with the encyclopedia. I added a few new anecdotes and reworded a lot of things. So there's similarities and differences between both books.
Well, there's a lot of research that has to be done on a book like that, and also your first book. And so you must have put a lot of time and effort into writing both books.
Well, the first book was a very lengthy process. All told, it was almost 8 years until I completed it, with the research and the writing and interviews and so forth. The second book, I cranked that out in a few months because I had a lot of the research done already. So that helped significantly.
Well, probably when you were doing the other book, you could set aside some of that stuff for the later book.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yes, having the research already in hand helped me a lot with the second book.
I'll have to go into my basement and find some of my old Redskin programs. In fact, I think I have one from way back of a Green Bay Packer Redskin game book. And I think that was like at one of their Christmas programs.
Well, there's a lot of neat memorabilia in there. I have to say that in addition to the text, I provided some of the photos, but there is a Redskins memorabilia collector Samu Qureshi, who provided a lot of the memorabilia, and the Redskins provided a lot of that too. So I did provide some of the photos and all the text. So it was a very interesting experience, and I'm flattered the Redskins asked me to do it. They were in contact with the publisher, and the Redskins recommended me to write the book, and I am now their official historian.
That's great.
This is a Redskins endorsed product.
That's great. Maybe they'll let you march out there with the band or something.
Well, what instrument will I play?
Well, you could lead it, you know, be the drum major with the big stick in front and leading them on. I think that'd be neat. I'm going to write that in as
that
a
would be
recommendation.
interesting. The Redskins marching band has a very interesting history in itself.
Yes, it does.
The marching band was actually launched during the Redskins' first season of existence in Washington in 1937, or that's when it was in its beginning stages, and then I believe it became official in 1938.
Yeah, and Marshall's wife helped along with Barney of writing the Redskins song. Didn't
Barney
she?
Grease Can.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Corinne Griffith.
Yeah.
She wrote the words to the song, and Barney Grease Can, who was the band director at the Shoreham Hotel in Washington, he wrote the music. So, and the song was launched around the same time. George Preston Marshall, he was a very innovative person and very had a lot of foresight, and he was an entertainer. He knew that to attract people to games, it wasn't only football they were going to come and see. It was the marching band, it was the music, it was all of the other halftime entertainment. It was Santa Claus dropping down on the field by parachute from a helicopter.
Yeah, he was a showman. He hated Harry Wismer, though.
The announcer, the Redskins play-by-play man.
When he went to be the owner of the Jets.
Right. Well, Wismer was the
Redskin voice.
Right, Redskin voice for several years in the 50s, right? Right. And then he became the owner of the Jets.
That's right.
Right. Those were actually those were the first Jetskins.
I think they were the New York Titans.
Actually New York Titans.
And I remember Marshall said something like Wismer was the hind on the Titan.
Well, those first Titans in 1960, when the AFL came into existence, you had Sammy Baugh as their head coach. You had 4 of his assistants were ex-Redskins. So it was like burgundy and gold in the Big Apple.
That's right. That's right. I went to New York a couple times to see the Redskins play the Giants. Of course, the results weren't too happy at times.
This was, what, 50s, 60s?
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, one of them was when the Cuban crisis was on. And I remember walking around the corner on one, and here comes a big gang of Cubans screaming and yelling and coming down the road around the street. And I said, what is this? And I got out of the way before I got trampled.
Well, that was 62, but those were the days, 61, 62.
Right.
Those were the days when the Giants were just dominating the Redskins.
Oh, yeah.
The Giants beat the Redskins 53-0 in 1961. So it was really one-sided back in that era. But then, of course, you had the game in 1966.
72, wasn't it 72 something?
Right, 72-41 here in Washington.
Yeah.
Highest scoring game in NFL history.
I know. And that was a little revenge for the previous years.
It was a lot of revenge. Well, it was revenge for Sam Huff.
Yeah.
He didn't like the Giants coach who had traded him in 1964. And Vince Permuto, a Redskins guard, he wanted to gain revenge on the Giants as well because of those days back in the late 50s, early 60s when the Giants were dominating. Allie Sherman is the Giants coach who traded Huff, and so Huff hated him.
I know. But he made out coming here, too. Huff did. He had
a decent career here in Washington. He made the Pro Bowl one time. But his real glory days were back with the Giants. They made the NFL championship game, I think, 5, 6 times while he was there. He was a first-team All-Pro. He didn't really have that type of success here in Washington, although the Redskins' defense was decent his first year here in 1964 and 1965. I mean, they were a pretty good team. Paul Krause, drafted in 1964. On offense, Len Hoss was drafted in '64. That Redskins defense, the first year Huff was here, was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Well, we've got to take a break, and then we'll be back to discuss some more. I don't know what else we're going to be able to discuss, having thrown everything out there right now. But we'll have to look at what you've seen out of training camp, too, and where you think the Redskins might be a little bit better this season. We've already said probably in coaching they're already ahead of the game. We'll be back after this message.